Welcome to Sleepaway Camp. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, something new is waiting to scare you to death. Sleepaway Camp. You won't be coming home. Turn the wheel! Oh my God! Sleepaway Camp. Rated R.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check newspapers for listings.
Hello and welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all the masterpieces and trash pieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we're back for another Halloween Classics episode.
Yes.
So we've actually got quite a few plays on last week's The Fog episode, which is nice to know that people actually want to listen to us talking about good films.
Yeah, very pleased. I'm assuming it went down well.
Yeah, we don't hear a lot from you guys. A lot of people listen and don't, let us know what you think. Just message us. Let us know how we're doing, if you're enjoying what we're doing. But, shout out to one of our regular listeners, our friend Maz. She sent a lovely message the other day saying how we make a big difference to her day with this podcast, which is nice to know.
Hi, Maz.
And the guys at Movies So Bad They're Good, they've been saying more nice stuff about us on their podcast. One of their guys actually was speaking to me the other day, said that they'll be watching Howling 2 soon.
Yes. Good luck with that one.
Yeah. I mean, it does have the best end credit sequence of all time. We should...
Let's not spoil it.
We should definitely do that one day.
We should. What's the name? Sturber Werewolf Bitch?
Sturber Werewolf Bitch.
So, yeah, starring Sybil Danning.
Yes.
So,
Christopher Lee.
So, trash.
What a film.
Cult film. Royalty there.
Oh, I just got a notification from that group. Ooh.
Oh,
that's...
we're talking about them.
Anyway, so for today's episode, we have another banger, another great film, and it's actually Chris's choice this week.
Yeah, this was my choice. Our category was just summer camp.
Slashers,
yeah. Big genre, lot to choose from. I chose this film, and I chose for us to discuss it, because I think there's a lot to discuss there. It's a good film, it's a fun film to watch, and it's an interesting one. It hasn't aged particularly well, so there's a lot to dig into.
I actually enjoyed this way more this time watching it than I've probably ever done, which is really weird, because, I mean, first of all, what are we talking about?
We're talking about Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp from 1983, directed by Robert Hiltzik, who actually only directed this and one of the sequels, so he didn't work on anything else.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a potential there to be a good horror director, but no, he just made 2 films in the same franchise. But as I was saying, I enjoyed this so much more this time round, which is weird because, we were making notes, and what we obviously, we pick films apart, and it's strange because there's a lot to say about it, but this is the least amount of notes I've made because I just enjoyed it so much. It's such a fun slasher film.
Yeah, I found with last week with The Fog, I wasn't, I loved the film, but I'm not the biggest fan of the film, The Fog. And I found us sort of picking it apart and analysing it. I did appreciate it a bit more for its art. And I think the same for this film as well. I think because sometimes you just shove on a film and, it's there and you're watching it and you're not really taking 100% of notice of it, really,
Yeah.
Particularly with these sort of films where we see them as sort of pure entertainment rather than, something to be analysed, and, we're not, it's not Bergman here, but, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this does have a big talking point, particularly around the film's ending and the trans representation in this film, but, we'll get to that when we get to the ending. But to start us off, just a little bit of trivia. This was one of the very few slasher films where it's actually kids playing kids.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. Sort of I'm assuming it was filmed in 82, released in 83. By that sort of time, a lot of slasher film tropes had been developed. You know, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of slasher films that go with the same formula. And a lot of them had much older actors for, you know, the obvious reason of they could work a lot longer. You know, these actors over 18. They could do nudity, you know, really, which is a big slasher film trope. And it was quite refreshing to watch a film where the kids were kids and they acted like kids and they felt like kids. And yeah.
I mean, it makes some of the scenes a little more creepier, but...
yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, I mean, it adds to the charm that it's actually, you know, it's a little more realistic. I mean, as Chris said, this is coming off the whole 80s slasher craze, and it was obviously heavily influenced by the likes of Friday the 13th and The Burning. You could see so many tropes from those films within this film, and, you know, it's one of the few that doesn't feel like it's just another carbon copy. It actually feels separate to those films. It feels like this is its own entity and, you know, could be quite influential within itself. Yeah, I mean, back to the trivia. It's also Mike Kellen's final film because he was actually really ill whilst filming it. He played the pervy counsellor?
He played Mel.
Yeah.
Mel, so he was the owner of the camp.
Yeah. Yeah, and he died before the film was released, I believe.
Yeah, it was. Just 3 months after the film finished filming. He died. I'm not sure what else he was in. He was quite old at the time. I'd say he's pushing the 70s, weren't he?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was in any sort of old school films. He was in Just Before Dawn, which is another campground slasher film. He was in Midnight Express.
Yeah.
And he was in The Jazz Singer, so... Seemingly he'd had probably a sort of a bit of a career as a character actor. Like quite a lengthy one, looking at his IMDb. So yeah, it's just a real shame that he didn't sort of... Because I would probably suggest that it's his most famous role.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. It's a shame that he didn't really live to see it, because it was a successful film as well.
Yeah, and it is a cult film, but it was also, I mean, a lot of cult films, they bomb to start with and then they, become popular over time. But this was actually quite popular when it was first released.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a real shame that he didn't really live to see it blossom.
Yeah, this was actually also filmed at the director's own summer camp that he went to as a child. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, no.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
And it also went on to spawn 3 sequels. Do you want to talk a bit about the sequels before we get into it?
Yeah, a little bit about the sequels. The 2 and 3 were filmed back to back, and they very much go into the tongue-in-cheek black comedy area of slasher films. They are enjoyable to watch.
2's better than 3.
2 is better than 3. 3 is very cheap. Very, very cheap. And it doesn't help. But 2 is a fun film to watch, starring Pamela Springsteen.
Yeah, replacing Felissa Rose.
Yeah, so I think they wanted Felissa Rose, but she was sort of in education.
No, she auditioned for it.
Did she?
No, she auditioned for it, but the director wanted Pamela Springsteen.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of someone else then that didn't return.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like I've heard that as well. That she couldn't because of her education. So it is one of the 2, but the recent one I heard that I read up on today was that the director was dead set on getting Bruce's sister in.
Yeah, Bruce's oh, bloody hell. Bruce Springsteen's sister. She was in... Well, she wasn't in much else, really.
She was in Fast Times at Richmond High.
Barely. And, yeah, so she's probably most famous for playing Angela in the sequels and being Bruce's sister.
It actually, another sequel was that got released briefly was Sleepaway Camp 4: The Survivor, which is basically half an hour of new footage and an hour of flashbacks to the first 3 films.
Have you seen that?
I haven't had the pleasure of seeing that one yet.
It doesn't sound...
I have
good.
seen Return to Sleepaway Camp though, and that's it's alright. It's not as good as Sleepaway Camp 2 or 1. Probably better than 3, I'd say. Yeah, it's nothing special. But they are rebooting it. Which is interesting. Especially if they're going down the remake route. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the ending.
Yeah.
For a modern day audience.
Yeah, that's...
If they do what Blumhouse did with Halloween, if they do a direct sequel to like the first film, then that's great. I mean, I think that could work. If they do go down a remake route, then it's going to be interesting.
I don't think it loses its edge after you watch a film like this the first time.
I was looking out for it this time.
Yeah, and you're looking at all the hints.
For me, it made the film better for the first. It makes the rest of the film, apart from the ending, better for its LGBT representation because, obviously, Angela is secluded. She's trying, she's obviously hiding this big secret and, she's being treated differently for it. And I'm sure there's something in there we could all relate to. She's an outsider. She's singled out. Obviously, we'll get through the...
I think
we'll get to the ending.
Once we get to the end.
Because this is the main talking point of the film.
It is.
This is what everybody knows this film for. But, it just made a bit of a difference knowing this time going in. And it kind of adds a level of sympathy to Angela's character, despite her, going around butchering people. But anyway, budget of $350,000.
Yeah, you can tell.
And, the plot is Angela Baker, a traumatised and shy girl, is sent to a summer camp with her cousin. And shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister and less than honourable intentions gets their comeuppance. And we start with a title card saying, "In fond memory of Mum, a doer."
Yeah, so the director, Robert Hiltzig, his mother had died quite recently before the film.
Yeah, and he made the film with some insurance
money that he got from her death. I think she died in a tragic accident, didn't she?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then we get the film's title card amongst autumn. In summer.
Much autumn, yes. Yes, that's that budget there for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
with been able to film.
With a Friday the 13th-esque score, orchestral, rather than...
synth.
Yeah, rather than synths.
There's a lot of synth pop throughout, and we'll get onto that, because I like it. But we do start with an orchestral piece of music.
Before we're introduced to some awful child acting and a massive hairy chest.
Oh, yes. And our first introduction to short shorts.
Oh, so many short shorts in this film.
So many short shorts in this film. Very, very... wow, yeah.
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 It could be any more 80s.
Very, very 80s. Very 80s. But we are introduced to these two children, Peter and Angela, and they're having fun by the lake with who we presume to be their father. And in the background, there's a very, very whiny, very scared water skier. What happens is an accident occurs in the water. The
whiny water skier gets more and more whiny.
Yeah, the motorboat that's pulling the water skier collides with the family, and tragically the father and one of the children dies.
Yeah, and we presume that the boy has died, because then we are introduced to Angela 8 years later with her cousin Ricky and her psychotic aunt who is overacting just a bit.
She hams it up something
She was terrifying. I don't even know if she was meant to be terrifying, but with that outfit and that acting...
Oh, I love that outfit. That
Really?
beret was amazing.
For the 80s?
Yeah, she looks great. I love her outfit.
She looks just got straight out of a time machine.
I think she looks fantastic.
She is hamming this up.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
She's
It
having
is-
a great time.
Yeah. She's just like questioning everything she's saying, everything she tells the kids. It's bizarre.
She's a sandwich sort of a picnic, I think, is what we're meant to get from that. She's zany, I suppose.
Yeah, everything she's thinking, she's shouting it out loud.
She is. She's chewing on that scenery.
So she says goodbye to her son Ricky and his cousin Angela, her niece.
Yeah, and before they go, she reminds them to take their medicals.
Yes.
And reminds them to not tell anyone how they got those medicals. So that's sort of your first sign that something iffy's going on.
Well, I mean, just looking at her is your first sign of something
Yeah, but
iffy's
I
going
mean,
on.
in terms of the two kids, you know something's not right, because she explains that, you know, she must have got the medicals in a sort of what's the word that I want? Backhanded
sketchy
manner.
way?
In a backhanded manner, yes.
So then we see some school buses arrive at Camp Arawak. And fun fact, this is Angela, actress Felissa Rose's relatives getting off the bus.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. They must be mixed with some other casts and crews.
I think so.
Relatives. But yeah, so we see everyone arriving at camp. And then we are introduced to Darth Vader's father.
Yes.
Robert Earl Jones.
Robert Earl Jones.
And
unmistakable voice.
yeah,
That voice runs through that family.
and some other members of staff at the camp, including a very pervy head chef.
Yeah. He refers to them as young fresh chicken, or boldies.
Yeah.
And they're making his mouth water. Now these are, as we said earlier, these kids are playing kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it would be questionable even if it was, you know, adults playing kids and they were meant to be that age and this guy was talking like that, but the fact that these are actually kids and this guy's talking like that, it's really uncomfortable.
It is, but it's meant to be, you know. We're not meant to like him.
And he also says that there's no such thing as being too young.
Yes.
So we move on to an introduction to a character called Paul, which is a friend of Ricky's. He's telling Ricky how his past love from the year before, Judy, has now got big boobs.
Yes.
Then we get introduced to Judy, and she is an iconic bitch.
She's a bitch queen. She's
She is.
fantastic.
I was living for this character.
She's
I mean, she's
got-
there for you to hate, but she is so bitchy.
She's got hair down to her midriff. You know, she's slaying the game.
Yeah, she ain't got time for no one.
She ignores Ricky. She's like, nah,
Yeah.
whatever. Got big tits now.
Yeah.
Don't need you anymore.
She makes it clear she's too good for him.
She is far too good now that her boobs are grown.
And then we get introduced to Meg, who has to spell her name out, just in case she didn't get it. M-E-G. Meg.
Thank you for that, guy.
Yes. Did you not catch that? She
I
has
did,
to,
yeah, she did.
just in
She
case
felt the
anyone
need
needs
spell out her
to,
name.
know how to spell
M-E-G,
it.
Meg.
So,
And then Susie, which is
yeah.
another camp counsellor, and she's... You can tell straight away that she's the sweet one. She's the nice one.
you never really get to see much of her, though.
No, but she is, you know...
This is all about Meg and Judy. This
It
is
is.
their camp.
It is.
Don't fuck with them.
Yeah, they rule the camp.
So then we move on to a lunch scene where Angela's not very hungry, So she's taken to the head chef, who was given the task of finding her something to eat, and instead he tries to molest her.
Yeah, so the pedo chef takes her into the back of the kitchen. It's just the two of them. He starts undoing his belt. And we all know where it's going, and Ricky comes in and stops it. And we get an awkward moment where he walks into the kitchen whilst doing up his belt. And Mel's sort of giving him the side eye. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? Well, it's pretty obvious, Mel.
Even though Mal's not much better himself, which you'll find out towards the end of the film.
Yeah. That's probably why he lets it slide.
Yeah. So then we get to find out something a little sketchy's going on at this camp. We get some point of view shots, and if anyone's watched Friday the 13th, you know that's not a good sign. So these POV shots show someone walking up to the head chef in the kitchen.
Well, the head chef is teetering on a chair over a absolutely fucking humongous pot. I don't know if they exist. I think I read somewhere that pot had to be especially made because pots that big
Would not surprise
do
me.
not exist. And then it's the health and safety's gone out the window by this point because he's a big guy on
And all their
quite
clothes
a
are filthy.
Small chair. Oh yeah, his clothes are filthy, and he's sort of trying to. What's he doing? Is he putting sweet corn in this humongous pot? And I mean, I'm sorry to go on about it, but it's absolutely ridiculous how big this pot is.
Yeah.
And so we get a point of view shot, someone creeping up on him, don't like what he's been doing, and gives him a shove, pulls the chair from under him, and the pot goes flying.
Yeah, and we get our first death. Well, I mean, our first death within the camp, and he is covered in this boiling water, and we get some disgusting makeup effects.
Those makeup effects, considering it was quite a small budget, the makeup effects in this film are really quite good. This one in particular,
You could see the blisters on his face like moving, and it's great. And
really
then
good job, actually.
the sight of that is mixed with the sight of an overreaction from Darth Vader's dad.
Well, I don't know, would you react to that way?
I mean,
if you saw
you'd
that
be
happen?
shocked, but you'd at least go and try and get help. He just stands there staring at him.
That does happen a bit in this film. That water skier at the beginning when she's screaming about somebody help them, but she's just like sat there while screaming. It's like, why don't you do it?
So after this, Darth Vader's dad gets a promotion. He's the new head chef, but that's the last you see of him.
Yeah.
So nothing really happens to him.
Maybe he was quite costly. The
Yeah.
actor was quite costly, so he just did his few little shots.
And next up, we get a weird prank where we're forced to look at a kid's ass.
Oh yeah, Paul Mozart. He's the kid with glasses. So essentially, he's ripe for being bullied, and it's a game. What's the game called?
I didn't get the name of the game down, but essentially...
Mind Over Matter. It's
Yeah.
called Mind Over Matter, and they're playing a prank on him, and it ends up with his face in someone's ass.
Yeah. Wasn't pleasant.
Fact, actually, the kid that played Mozart was actually bullied on set.
Yeah, I read this.
They took it a little too far. They were being very method about it, and someone had to sort of put a stop to it and say, "Oi, it's just a fucking film. Calm down."
Method acting on Sleepaway Camp.
There we go, method acting. It's a shame, really. That's not very nice, but
No. But shortly after that, we get a prolonged homoerotic baseball game.
yeah. So we get more short shorts. This time playing baseball, and that's about it. I mean, it's just playing baseball. It sort of establishes who the horrible guys are, and they wind up Ricky. a treat, don't they?
It is home to the best line of dialogue in the whole film. Well, the best dialogue exchange in the whole film. So we meet Bill, who's kind of like the head bully, I'd say, and they're having this intense game of baseball, and he says to Ricky, "Eat shit and die, Ricky." To which Ricky replies, "Eat shit and live, Bill."
There we go.
And he sounds so satisfied when he's saying that line.
And it's what I touched on earlier about the kids talking like kids. You know? Well, kids,
Pretty sure I never said eat shit and live when I was a kid.
Kids that age swore, you know, and acted that way. So it's quite an honest sort of view of the kids, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd rather eat shit and die than eat shit and live. That does sound disgusting.
Yeah.
So, shortly after this, we're given like a kind of camp disco, is it?
Yeah. Synth pop disco, I put.
Yeah, synth pop disco.
Amazing synth pop in the background. Yeah, I suppose they call it the social, don't they?
Yes, and then they're at the social, and we are given an introduction to a character with a blue Oyster Cult t-shirt and a mullet.
Nice, yes.
Essentials for the 80s.
And that's Kenny.
Yes.
We'll see him
performing a song soon. And he's with his friend with a pink shirt, which is just a really ugly pink shirt. And they're trying to chat up Angela.
Well, Angela sat there staring whilst eating a chocolate bar, which essentially was when she auditioned for the role. Yeah. That's what the director got her to do. She does sit there staring with a chocolate bar. Yeah. She does lots of sitting around staring and not talking in this film. It's a character trope of Angela's. It is a character trope, and it's one that makes her not necessarily a sympathetic character, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Because, you know, the place is full of, you know, bullies and bitches. But if you were with somebody like that, the way she was, you would start to get frustrated, you know, and Meg gets frustrated a fair bit throughout the film, and she's a counsellor, and she's trying to sort of interact with Angela, and she's just getting completely blanked. I could see how that would become a little frustrating, you know, being with somebody who just doesn't talk, doesn't eat, but then stares, and sometimes stares at you. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the whole thing is that she's traumatised there from what happened when she was younger with the Yeah, no, I do understand that, and, you know, I wouldn't go to the lengths that the girls go to throughout the film, but I can understand, you know, and that maybe you would lose your rag. Well, these guys certainly do lose their rag. Well, you know, one of them loses his mullet, should we say. That was terrible. Anyway, so they get really annoyed, is what I'm trying to say. How should we forget that? I don't know what I was getting at. So they get really annoyed, but then someone shows up to the rescue. Ricky turns up with a fucking cowboy hat on. Paul by his side. My favourite wardrobe choice in the film. A Converse t-shirt. Full of men in crop tops, short shorts, berets, and this cowboy hat. Massive cowboy hat that you never see again. It's amazing. Yeah, so he turns up, he's pissed off that people are picking on his cousin, and a fight breaks out. And then we get a little more of Paul, and he's actually quite likeable. Yeah. To start with. Yeah, he's likeable. And he has a thing for Angela. He does. Yeah, goes over and talks to her. Yeah. Finally gets a word out of her. She says, "Good night." Good night. Followed by, what does he say? Good night. It is the most over-exaggerated good night. He's very pleased with himself, and he got a word out of her. So, and then we get some mandatory 80s summer camp slasher skinny dipping. Yeah. Which is even weirder, because again, these are fucking kids. This was actually trimmed originally. They didn't show a lot of the kids going into the lake. But then for the Blu-ray release,
from, I think it's Scream Factory in America. They restored it. And you get to see a group of kids running into a lake with no clothes on.
Yeah, another way that this sort of goes against the normal slasher film tropes is there's a lot more male nudity in this film than there is female nudity.
Rare
nudity.
male
nudity. But you know,
thank God.
You don't see.
Don't want to see.
You don't see any female nudity really, and bless them, the cast. This was filmed in autumn, pretending to be summer. So they're all in shorts all the time, or some of the girls are in bikinis and such. They must have been freezing on set. Sometimes in doing that skinny dipping scene, they must have been really cold.
Yeah.
Being late night, autumn, no clothes on.
Well, our mullet friend takes a girl out on a boat and starts being all romantic before he tips the boat over.
Yeah, so Kenny's a wind-up merchant, essentially, and he takes this Leslie out. It's the only time we ever see her.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You know, she's not an established character. Takes this Leslie out for a late-night canoe trip and decides, oh, do you know what, I'm going to be a bit of a twat and tip the boat over.
Yeah.
And which he does.
So she swims away and he gives us a song.
He does. So he's underneath the boat calling to Leslie, again being a right wind-up merchant. And he utters probably my favourite line of dialogue from the film. Getting prepared for it. Hey, Bobbery Bob. It's completely out of nowhere.
Do you prefer that or do you prefer ooh baby from Friday the 13th Part 5?
Oh, that's a difficult choice.
I mean, the guy in Friday the 13th Part 5 is taking a shit while singing.
He is. I'm going to go with ooh baby. Ooh, baby.
It is iconic.
That is iconic, actually. Yeah. But they both are, really. So yeah, we get a bit of Hey Bobbery Bob.
And then we get to see the back of the killer's head. And at this point, the way they filmed it is very, very clever. I mean, I think this was actually Ricky, the actor who plays Ricky, because
throughout the whole film, Felissa Rose's mother didn't want her to play the killer at any point. So whenever you see part of the killer's body, whether it be the head, the hand, or at one point a full sort of silhouetted profile, we'll get onto that. It is actually, I forget the actor's name, forgive me. The guy who plays Ricky, it is actually him playing the killer.
Yeah, and
hence some manly hands at some point.
This scene in particular, it's you could easily mistake that for Angela. So I mean, the way they filmed it, the angle and everything is really clever. And then, I mean, yeah, spoiler alert: the killer is Angela. By the way, just in case we kind of spoke like everyone would already know that. I mean, I'm sure, and if you've listened to this, then you've already seen it.
We'd hope you've watched the film before listening to this. To be honest.
So
because it is a good film.
Yeah,
it is a good twist. So we'd hope that you'd have watched it, or if you never intend to watch it, thanks for listening anyway.
Well, A Bobbery Bob gets drowned by the killer.
By the killer, so he gets drowned, splashing about underneath this canoe.
Yeah, and then they find his body the day after.
The whingy lifeguard.
Yeah, the whingy lifeguard calls everyone pickleheads. He discovers the body where you can tell, it's a fake head, but he has a fucking snake coming out of it.
Yeah, that another good sort of special effects, I thought. I thought it was quite effective.
Yeah.
That snake coming out of his mouth. Yeah.
So after the body is discovered, this leads to the local police force coming in. One police officer in particular, and as you know, on the Horror Cult Trash Over podcast, we love a good moustache.
We do.
This guy,
moustache.
he goes through some moustache transformation in this film. This might be our best one yet. At first, he's got a big, real, very important to remember, real meaty moustache. And Mal is acting really suspicious at this stage. You could easily think it was him that was the killer. He's like, yeah, so you're going to not tell anybody about this? Let's keep it on the down low.
I think he's worried about his money. I don't think... The way it's sort of filmed and the way the plot goes, throughout the film, it's either Angela or it's Ricky. I don't think there's... When you see the back of the head in the canoe, that's definitely not Mel's.
Oh yeah, we know that's not Mel.
Definitely not Mel's head.
Like, I mean, to this police officer though, this police officer just came in, he's found a dead body, he's been told that someone else died there. And you got this camp council like, yeah, okay, let's keep this on the down low, like, you know, trying to keep him quiet. The police officer's probably thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's a weird... But I think Mel is just worried that everyone's going to go and he's going to lose money. They're going to shut the camp down and he's going to lose money.
Well, Judy's got bigger worries on her mind. Because she's seeing Paul flirting with Angela and she is fuming.
Yeah, so this...
She couldn't give a shit about the killings or anything. This is what she cares about.
Well, they don't know about it at that point, do they? About the killings.
Well, I mean...
They know Kenny's had a tragic accident. I don't think she was close to him anyway. Only for a flirt. But this cements Judy as a proper slay queen. She is playing volleyball, and what's she wearing?
A t-shirt
with her own name on. I strive to be that fabulous.
Might be my Halloween costume this year.
I really want a t-shirt that says Chris.
I want someone saying Judy.
Judy, yeah. That would be a great Halloween outfit, Judy.
She's fuming now because Angela doesn't want to play volleyball. She's just sitting around flirting with Paul. And a little later on, Paul kisses her for the first time. Immediately asks if she's mad about it. She says no, and then he asks for another one. Just asks.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nothing to say about
you don't
that?
ask, you don't get.
Yeah?
Is that what? Is it at this point?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, after this, we get some more Paul and Angela. We get a lot of Paul and Angela from this point onwards. And he sneaks up behind her when she's just sitting minding her own business, puts his hands over her eyes, and he's like, guess who? The first guess is Ricky. Who's the second guess?
No, the first guess is Paul.
No, the first guess is Ricky. She said
Is
Ricky.
it?
Yeah.
Oh. Why would you think it was her cousin?
Well, who's the second guess?
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. Which is a weird reference point in 1983 for a 13-year-old.
Fucking Burt Reynolds.
No sort of teen idols, just Burt Reynolds.
Maybe she's into the sugar daddy type.
Maybe.
Wait, hang on. How old would Burt Reynolds have been back then?
Burt Reynolds in 83, he must have been in his 40s.
Oh. Anyway.
Smoking the Bandit, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was 70s.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, must at least been in his mid-40s.
Well, after this flirting going on, some more flirting between them two, Meg comes over, starts trying to speak to Angela again. Angela's still not responding, so she starts to shake her.
Yeah, just and I can.
Poor Felissa Rose. She looks like she had the life shaken out of her in this scene.
That's what I mentioned earlier about. It must be really frustrating trying to talk to someone and them not to. But then you see them talking to other people. You'd be fuming.
Yeah, but I think by this point, Angela knows that Judy and Meg are bitches. Basically.
Yeah, well, we know that, and they are bitches. Because there's a way to go about things. Shaking someone isn't the way to go about it. But I can understand the frustration.
Well,
maybe I'm a bitch.
You're just like Meg.
Yeah.
I know you want to be Judy.
Judy, I know,
you're
yeah,
just like Meg.
you.
Well, we get some more Judy. After this, they're back in the cabin. And she's fuming again. Wants to know if Angela's gay because she doesn't like showering with everyone else. I mean, there's a bit of mystery there.
Yeah, that adds to the whole medical record thing.
Yeah. And then she drops the best insult in horror film history. What does she say?
She says Angela is a real carpenter's dream, flat as a board and in need of a screw. Yeah.
What a film.
I love it.
It's just the dialogue in this film. It makes you wonder. Did you think this is actually written dialogue, or do you think there's a bit of ad-libbing going on?
I don't know, because it is, again, it is dialogue that I could imagine 13, 14, 15-year-olds saying.
That's a pretty elaborate insult for a 15-year-old.
But no, I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've used it in conversation since watching the film for the first time.
The next line of dialogue from Billy, I got a feeling this probably was written.
Oh, yeah. So Angela leaves after being told she's a carpenter's dream. Susie gives Judy a slap as well.
Yes.
For being so rude. And Angela goes off to see Ricky. She's not really that fazed by it. Maybe she knows it's true. And she goes to see Ricky and gets hit by a water balloon. You'd think it was a fucking bowling ball. But yeah, she gets hit in the abdomen with a water balloon. She's knocked out. And Ricky comes out, berates the guys. Because they're on the roof.
It sounds like every swear word in the history of swear words.
And who's the guy that threw it? Who's the main guy?
I think it's Billy.
Billy. So he's the short shorts guy.
Angela
he's never not wearing really short shorts.
Angela might have pneumonia now.
She might have pneumonia according to Mel. Just get some sort. I don't know.
Don't play with water balloons, kids.
Yeah,
you might get pneumonia.
He thought she might lose an eye as well. But okay. I thought water balloons were meant for throwing at each other.
Yeah.
Maybe we did it wrong back in the day.
Well, Billy then informs his friends that he's got to take a wicked dump.
A wicked dump, so he's going to be late for the ball game because he needs to take a wicked dump. Whatever a wicked dump is. I was supposed we find out, actually, because next thing he's gone to the loo. He's sat down on the toilet. His shorts are down. He ain't wearing no underwear, which is not very hygienic, especially after a wicked dump. And what happens after he started having a shit?
The killer drops a beehive on him.
Well, it's not really a window. It's not a glass window.
No, it's a paper window.
Well, yeah, it's like some sort of netting of some sort. Now, the window, for some reason, goes straight into the toilet cubicle, which I'm pretty sure isn't very wow.
I know. I've been in toilets like that.
Oh, people can watch you take a shit.
My old workplace actually had a window above the toilet like that. I mean, it was pretty impossible to get up to. You know, I mean, you had to have step ladders.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm assuming this one's
this
like ground
this
floor
one
level.
looked more easily accessible.
So people could have a good nose that you were using the facilities, which I thought was a bit weird. But
and that
it's all a bit weird.
Was our opinions on toilets.
Wow.
Come back next week for the next toilet review.
Well, I'm pretty sure that someone just walking past can have a little look in and see you taking a dump.
Or they drop a beehive on you.
Or in this case, drop a beehive on you.
Again, more disgusting practical effects after.
Yeah, this was really good one. The effect on the arm, I thought was particularly good. With the there was like a hole in the arm that the bee was going in and out of, which I thought was quite effective. I'm not sure if bee stings take effect that quick, but you know. Yeah, it was good. Good kill. Yeah.
And then we get a bit more exposition into Angela's secret. Because her and Paul are making out on the beach. And she has a flashback to when she was younger.
Yeah, so she has a flashback to her and her brother Peter finding her dad in bed with another man. Now this other man is present at the beginning, isn't he?
Yeah.
When the accident occurs, that kills the father, and they're stood at the doorway giggling because her father's in bed with another man, and they're being a bit intimate.
A bit intimate. They're both naked in bed making out, Chris. A bit intimate.
They're being intimate.
This, I'm actually really surprised that a film in the 80s showed something like this. It's not, obviously, I mean, that was a different time. Things are a lot more acceptable now, and it was good to see some, I mean, it's not, I don't know if this is positive LGBT representation, I wouldn't really say it is, but I think the fact that, you know, this was showed, you know, a bit of progression for back then.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
It's not something you'd see in any other 80s.
I'm not sure what the point of this is.
Yeah, because then we get to see...
If the father had just been a single parent,
yeah,
you know, his death would have had the same effect.
Well, we've heard nothing about Angela's mum, have we?
No.
So it could be the case he was a single parent. You know, there's nothing there saying that he was cheating or anything.
No, but I mean in the sense of showing this and having the father be homosexual. What is the point? How does that progress anything?
I mean, you could look at this as if they had two dads. They could be it could be gay parents.
Yeah, but is the suggestion that finding her dad in bed with another man and having that dynamic, is that in turn part of the reason why she's fucked up?
It could be looked at that way. I don't know if that's how it's intended.
And that's why when she's, you know, getting intimate with Paul on the beach, she's having that flashback in particular.
Well, I mean, it could be because she's technically, spoiler alert, she is male herself.
Yeah.
So technically that's two males kissing, so that might be why she's thinking back to it.
Potentially, yeah, because if she still sees herself as a man...
Because we see her and her brother, like, pointing at each other on a bed after. I'm not sure what the point to that was.
I wasn't really sure of that. I think maybe that was just there as a hint. You know, Peter was pointing at Angela and they're on a bed. I don't get that.
I mean,
part.
it's a weird scene. The cinematography on that scene's great. It's it looks like there's nothing else around. It's just that bed and those characters.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the context could be taken in many different ways. You know, as with a lot of this film, well, with the ending. You know, so moving on, we'll come back to that sort of theme of things a little later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on, Paul and Angela stop making out. Angela freaks out and runs away. And shortly after this, Judy, that sneaky little bitch, she seduces Paul and starts making out with him in the woods. And Ricky and Angela catch him.
Yes, they do. Yeah. So it's a game of capture the flag, and the sort of main characters really don't care, apart from Ricky. And they're trying to be sneaky, and Angela and Ricky see Judy and Paul making out, getting it on in the woods. Which Judy doesn't give a shit about Paul.
No.
She's just doing it to rile up both Ricky and Angela.
Yeah, and she makes that pretty clear soon. After Paul comes apologising, you know, Judy goes up to Angela, makes it clear she doesn't give a shit about Paul.
No.
Again, she's too good for him. She's too good for everybody. And
boobs.
Yeah.
She's gone to her head.
And then after this, we get some good editing where we see some of Mal getting suspicious of Ricky, thinking that Ricky's the killer, getting quite annoyed with him. And then it cuts in between that and Meg and Judy taking Angela down to the water to throw her in because she's always refusing to go swimming.
Yeah, so Meg and Judy, this is probably their bitchiest moment.
Yeah.
This is where they get physical, and Meg goes full Hulk Hogan at the Royal Rumble and picks up Angela and throws her into the lake.
Yeah. Some other little kids start throwing sand at Angela as Ricky pulls her out of the lake.
So when she gets out, she's upset, but she's also sort of hunched over as if to not show a particular area of herself
Yeah.
that might be prominent when her clothes get wet. So I thought that was an interesting bit there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's another little hint. It was like, oh, what's she hiding?
And then we cut to night time, and Mal makes a dinner date with Meg.
Well, this is instigated by Meg, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the reason for this, I'm not sure. What I don't know. Was Mel written to be younger?
I don't know. I got the impression she was underage.
No, Meg wouldn't have been underage, I don't think, because she's a camp counsellor. So she would have been over 18.
Huh.
She's a camp counsellor.
Either way,
so she would have been
Mal is Meg's Burt Reynolds.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, she wants a bit of Mal, so she invites him for a dinner date. She goes to have a shower and gets a knife through the back.
She does. This scene, I like this death as well.
It was very
Deaths
Friday the
in this
13th,
film.
this scene.
Oh, no, yeah,
But
absolutely.
It kind of reminded me of final chapter, Friday the 13th. So isn't that the first Friday the 13th? I might be wrong. I think that's the first Friday the 13th film with a shower death.
Is it?
Or it might happen in part 3.
Are you think which the one in part 4?
Yeah.
Chapter is the dude that gets his head crushed.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
a death in a shower. I don't know whether that was done before this or whether this is a first. Probably should have been professional to the research, but
Well, no. Well, I ain't being funny, but if you're talking deaths in the shower and saying that
no, I know what you're getting at. No, I mean in a summer camp slasher film. Yes, I know. I know there's obviously Psycho. But
Psycho, that's the
I
name
know
of it.
there's
Yeah,
Psycho,
sorry,
but I mean in like 80s summer camp slasher films, because it becomes quite a popular trope. It happens in a lot of them.
Oh yeah, in the shower. Yeah, but that's directly linked to Psycho. I wouldn't. That to me is Psycho. That's a nod to Psycho.
Well, I'll just go fuck myself.
Sorry. I did. You know.
Oh, it's a great death.
No doubt in my mind.
Clearly a paper wall, but a great death.
Well, yeah, it would have been a cheap camp.
Yeah.
Wall.
But no, it was great, really good. And then after this, where are we now? So Meg gets it.
Yeah, she gets killed in the shower.
Oh,
and we see. But this is
another
great
apology
piece
from
of dialogue. Paul. Yeah, Paul apologizes to Angela, and she's like, okay, I forgive you, sort of, and I don't know why this line's so great, but maybe it's the delivery. But she says, "Meet me at the waterfront after the social." And this is really caught on, this piece of dialogue.
I love Felissa Rose.
I think, yeah, she's great. She's great in this film, and she's great in other things that we've watched as well.
She is a B-movie icon.
She is. She's definitely a scream queen, slay queen, all that business. And I think it is her delivery of this line that's so great. It's a throwaway,
Well, next in my notes, I have Judy is a bitchy icon. Well, yeah, I know that already. And so Mel finds Meg.
Yeah, Mel goes looking for Meg.
And swears his revenge on Ricky.
Goes to the shower block. Meg conveniently falls out the shower
as he walks in.
And the very moment Mel comes in, she's been there a while by now. She turned a little blue, but the moment Mel gets there, she flings her out the shower onto the floor.
He's like, "I'll get my revenge for you, Mel."
Great little soliloquy from Mel about getting his revenge on Ricky, because he definitely knows it's Ricky now.
Yeah, he's convinced. And then, I mean, if he's seen this next scene, then he wouldn't be wrong, because we clearly get to see Ricky in a wig.
Yeah, so next up on the kill list is Judy.
Our queen.
She skipped the social because she wanted to make out with
pink shirt guy, wasn't it?
Pink shirt guys, and interestingly enough, pink shirt guy's the only guy that doesn't actually... the only person that's nasty to Angela doesn't actually die.
Yeah.
In the film. But he's a shit kisser.
Yeah.
And he leaves Judy because he's scared of getting caught. And she, berates him as he leaves. Then we get a shot. The problem is, you watch certain films, and I had VHSs back in the day, which weren't the best quality. We've watched a few DVDs that aren't the best quality.
And it adds to it. We recently watched... we watched Taxi Driver recently, and it was so gritty because it was on a lower quality on DVD, and... things like that, it really makes a difference. Like in this film, if you're watching it, when I watched this on, DVD back in the day, I never even noticed this, and you shouldn't have to notice this, but now that it's in HD...
In HD, enhanced, looking lovely, you see in this scene, the killer in the doorway should have been shrouded by shadow. And as we stated earlier, it was the killer was played by
the actor who plays Ricky.
Yeah, Jonathan. I can't remember his surname. Excuse me. And it's very, very clearly him in a wig.
Yeah.
There's no mistaking that it's him in a wig.
And then we get some shadows as he approaches Judy, punches her in the face, and then shoves her hair. Now, we're in debate here. We don't know if this is hair straighteners or hair curlers.
Now, the thing is, Judy has straight hair throughout the film. So I would say that it's hair straighteners. But they look like hair curlers.
Yeah.
And I know this isn't really a meaty discussion to have. But
if anyone knows, please let us know.
This. We did argue a little bit over it. Because I say curlers, you say
I say straighteners. But either way, whatever they are shoved straight up a vagina.
They certainly are. So we get a shadow on the wall. And this hair, whatever it is, super hot. Because she's just been using it. We see that it's burnt the blanket it was on. And the positioning of Judy's hands in the air and where this hair straightener or curler goes, it's definitely straight into her vagina.
Yeah, and apparently the aftermath was originally shown, but it was cut by the MPAA because it was too grisly, apparently.
How would they have shown that?
I dread to think. But... next up, we find...
That's a good death scene, and I think we need to talk maybe a little more on that, because that is quite an effective death scene, and I've sort of said how great the effects are in this film, but sometimes, the subtle ones are better. It's what you don't see.
Yeah, I mean, that could be left to interpretation.
Yeah, we know where that's gone, and we can imagine how awfully painful that would be. And how horrible that would be. And that, I think, would work better than if we would have seen it all.
Yeah.
Because if we, something's the best left to the imagination.
Well, speaking of which, the next death, which is actually of some really young kids, is also off screen. One of the counsellors just finds a bunch of kids that have been slaughtered, and they're actually the kids that were throwing sand at Angela after she was thrown in the lake.
Yeah, the director said that he probably regrets this scene. He didn't think it was maybe necessary. The kids just chucked sand at her. Yeah,
but she hacks these kids up.
Yeah, and it's
pretty grisly.
Yeah, it's when... we're maybe a little sympathetic towards Angela. And this is on a second viewing, so we know who the killer is and all that. And so maybe we're a little less sympathetic to Angela because of it.
Yeah, and then Mal still convinces Ricky, beats him up, really badly.
Yeah, really good.
I mean, Ricky survives it, but he beats him up really bad.
Well, initially Ricky was meant to die. but the director had a change of heart.
Yeah.
And inserted that scene where they find Ricky and he's still breathing.
And Mal quickly realises he was wrong and gets an arrow through the neck.
He does. He does.
Another great special effect.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is a you know, it's of its time, so it looks a little... but, you know, it must have been very clever to do at the time.
And then our favourite cop returns with his fake moustache now, because he had another bit of filming going on at the same time, and he had to shave his moustache off for that filming. So he comes back into the film with this whopping fake moustache on that looks horrendous.
It does look really bad. It's completely different colour to his old one. Completely different.
You can see it hanging off practically.
Yeah. I thought they'd just used a bit of shoe polish to begin with. It looks painted on. But this is because they didn't want to kill off Ricky.
Yeah.
So this cop discovers Ricky, and that's when he has to wear the fake moustache.
Well, two of the camp counsellors, they find Angela at the waterfront after the social.
Yeah.
Holding Paul. Wow, what you think is Paul, but it's actually Paul's severed head.
Yeah, so they're sat at the beach. Angela is singing a little ditty to herself, isn't she?
A little creepy song.
Yeah, Paul. Neither of them have clothes on. Paul's sort of lying across her legs because she's sat down, and
Then we get a flashback.
We do get a flashback. So this sort of ties up all the suspicions of the film. This gives us the twist, and essentially it's Aunt Martha taking Angela in after the accident. You can still see the bandage on her head, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's revealed that Aunt Martha didn't want another boy and wanted a girl, and that Angela is actually Peter.
Yeah.
And Aunt Martha's been raising her as a girl.
Yeah, and then we get a very, very iconic image amongst the horror genre. Angela stands up, turns around, and reveals a penis.
Yes.
And the counsellors are like, "Oh my god, she's a boy. How can this be?" And it's holding Paul's decapitated head.
Yeah.
End of the film.
The film ends on Angela's face.
Yes.
Looking completely insane.
Making some very weird animal-like noises.
Yeah, so she's completely lost it now. She's completely insane. And we end the film there. And with a synth pop banger.
Yeah.
Angela's theme by, is it Frank Valli?
It is.
I want to say Frankie Valli, but that's Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. But Frank Valli with an absolute banger over the credits. I'm not sure if it fits, but yeah.
But then
specifically written for the film.
This is where the discussion comes in. Not the song, but the
Yeah.
the trans representation towards the end of the film. It's very amongst the fans of the film and amongst the LGBT community especially. It's a very often spoken about subject as to whether this is a good representation or bad representation. And I think it really does depend on how you look at it. Because, I mean, let's face it, within horror films, even, you know, as far back as Psycho and as recent as Insidious 2, trans representation in films has always been very negative. It's always been the killer. It's always been a case of, you know, this guy wants to dress up as a woman, this guy's going around killing people. You know, I think it's something that could be improved on a lot.
Yeah.
And I think within this film, especially, it does leave it open for discussion.
it's a
Especially means it's used as a plot twist.
yeah.
I think that's the bit where it comes in as a bit, it comes across as negative. It's the fact that it's used for shock value and a twist.
Yeah, so in a film such as The Crying Game, and the makers of this film accused The Crying Game of stealing that twist ending.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler for The Crying Game. But at the end of The Crying Game, it's revealed that the character played by Jay Davison has been male throughout the whole time. And this is what they thought was the character of a deceased character, and it's revealed that they're actually male. In Sleepaway Camp, the suggestion is, now correct me if I'm wrong, this is how I see it, is that the suggestion is Angela is insane, Angela is a murderer because of this, Do you feel that way?
It's
I feel like
because
the suggestion of the ending, and it's a great ending, and it's a real interesting twist. It really catches you off guard, but I feel like the suggestion is that being raised as a girl when she's actually a boy has made her into a murderer.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the film without that twist, and it's a case of these are people who have done wrong to this girl, and she's going around murdering them all. That's your typical slasher film trope. Friday the 13th. Pamela Voorhees kills people for what they did to her son. For being careless. It's a motivation that it's been seen before, it's been done. So, I mean, I can see the director obviously wanted to try something new. It's just whether this something new is tasteful, because I don't think it is. It could be seen as tasteless.
It doesn't work now.
No, and this is what I meant by about the reboot. If they're going for a straight remake, I don't think they can get away with that now.
No,
I don't think they need to. I don't think it needs remaking. Do another sequel. Do a direct sequel. Even if it means ignoring the rest of them, something like that. So then that twist is already there. It's already done. Move on from it. Instead of, retreading on old ground and doing it over again and causing a lot of backlash. Because it just doesn't need to happen. Maybe, I don't know, I don't think there's any way of working any positive representation into it now. There's no way of turning it around. That the fact that Angela's the killer and Angela is trans, that's done. So just, do a sequel, move on. Don't try and remake that twist ending.
Yeah, I don't, and in fairness, the sequels, Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3...
Well, yeah,
don't actually really mention it.
They do, because Angela's had a full-on sex change.
Oh, yes,
so she is, she's female now.
A full-on sex change, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yeah. Yeah, it's... in a lot of films, particularly from the 80s, is where... men that are raised as women or dress as women or who, believe that they are women and want to change their gender end up being killers.
Yeah, and there's a really weird way of looking at it. It really is, and
it's a sign of the times, and it hasn't aged well.
No.
It hasn't aged well, and... we're going to be talking about Silence of the Lambs in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar... There was backlash from the trans community for that film as well. Because they, for similar reasons to this one, saw that it was not a good representation of transgendered people. Now, in Silence of the Lambs, and we'll probably touch on it in a couple of weeks... It's arguable if, Buffalo Bill is transgendered or not.
Yeah.
It's...
But, I mean, Buffalo Bill was based off a real-life serial killer.
Yeah, Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Who I don't believe was transgender.
Well, where did this all come from, then? Because, I mean, you got, like Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again based off Ed Gein, dressed as a woman.
He wore the skin of his victims.
But then and then again Norman Bates in Psycho, based off Ed Gein,
and that's
dressed as a woman.
That's to do but he dressed as his mother. So the
Yeah.
whole idea is that these people are driven insane by their relationship with their mothers, it happens a lot with serial killers. I think maybe it's a film like Dressed to Kill. I think that hasn't aged well because of the similar trope.
Yeah.
And a similar, ending. Sorry, spoiler for Dressed to Kill. But yeah, just spoiling all the films now.
It's a very interesting topic, and if you listen to the Dead Meat podcast, they did a very, very good episode on it, where they spoke about it at length and went across many different films, and they actually came to the conclusion that probably the most positive representation was in Escape from LA. Which, I mean, I can't really... I
didn't like Escape from LA, but I do kind of agree with them to a certain extent there.
Yeah, Pam Grier, of course, played a trans character in that film, and I not really got much bad to say about.
No, and I think it's a big topic, and for discussion is the representation of transgendered people in film. I don't think we've got enough time now to talk about it. But seemingly from what I've seen through my years of film watching, it's either a horrible joke.
Yeah. Ace
Ventura, yes. Or transgendered people are seen as killers, murderers. And it's seen that being transgendered and, feeling like they're trapped in the wrong body has driven them insane. Now that don't cut it now.
No.
It doesn't. And it never really should have.
No.
And it's a reason why
And it's the thing that pisses me off. People that are like, oh, well, it was a different time. And I know I've just said that myself, but,
it was
it's a different time. That should never have been all right.
Not really.
I mean, you can't change that now, but, it never should have been okay.
We always watch films with a modern sensibility. We always will, and it makes an interesting discussion. And I'm not going to sit here and say, the makers of Sleepaway Camp are, pieces of shit because of it. It's a really fun film, really enjoyable. It is a, great twist ending. It just doesn't sit so well.
Yeah. I mean, but that aside, though, that Sleepaway Camp, fantastic film.
Yeah,
apart
really
from
fun.
that, it's fantastic. Such
Really
a fun 80s
funny.
slasher. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, watch it, and if you haven't watched it, I do recommend watching it. I do hope you have watched it because it's just been spoiled for you now.
Yeah.
And sort of make your own conclusions on it. I think it's a topic open for discussion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic film. I originally gave it an 8 on IMDb, but I put it up to a 9 today after how much I enjoyed it. I can't give it a 10 because of the way it's aged, but I think it's well deserving of a 9. I think it's a fantastic film. And yeah,
is that all our time for today?
We've gone over.
Have we? Bloody hell.
Yeah. Next week we will be talking about, which I'm so excited to do. We are talking about Ghostwatch, the BBC made-for-TV film from 1992. If you haven't seen this and you plan to listen to this episode, I urge you to go and watch it before you listen to it. It's phenomenal, fantastic, groundbreaking TV, and I can't wait to dig deep into it. I'm sure you'll have plenty of fun doing your research for that one. There's a lot to look into.
Absolutely. It's one of those where the actual story around it I find more interesting than the film itself.
Yeah, there's a lot to go over.
Yeah.
But so thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you very much.
Don't forget, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. If you're listening on Podbean, SoundCloud, Anycast, and like and follow. We're now on YouTube as well. We'll be uploading these episodes to YouTube and to Facebook video. So, you know, if you're not on any of the streaming services that are on, then go and have a listen on there. And you can...
sorry. I was just going to say, and please sort of comment as well.
Yeah.
And we brought up ideas in the film that, you know, maybe in the podcast about the film that you might agree with or disagree with. I'm always open up to hear
let us know.
opinions about films. So, you know, it's great to hear comments from people. Not about the quality of the podcast, about the film. I love discussing films, you know, as you can probably tell, because we always go over our time limit every week. And so, yeah, please do comment and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go into our description of the podcast episode on anything you're listening to, on our email address is on there as well. So send us an email. Let us know what you think. And, you know, again, hit us up on social media. We're on Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram. Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm Gazmo205 on Instagram. GazCruise92 on Twitter.
I'm Chris Barker823 on Instagram and Twitter.
And that's it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you same time, same place again next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.